I have an appointment with a horse doctor. How that horse became a doctor, I don't know.
Sorry, what?
No, I'm kidding. He's just a regular doctor who shoots your horse in the head when he has a broken leg.
What? Sorry, why do you have a horse? And that's Brandon, ladies and gentlemen.
Looks good to me.
Hey guys, welcome to the Flat Tire. I'm Brandon DeBouzidan. That's Keishan Sandagar. He's brown. You know him. Claire's behind the camera. You can't see her because that's not how camera works. And we have two new guests today.
Hello, I'm Jared Leary, car guy, hot rod enthusiast, general pizza destroyer.
Hi, my name's Josh Leary, car guy, that dude's brother, automotive scofflaw, and happy guest on
The
the Flat Tire.
Yeah, the flat
Sponsored by Brown Bag Coffee.
tire. Right on.
Which reminds me, this episode of the Flat Tire is brought to you by Brown Bag Coffee Roasters. Brown Bag Coffee Roasters specializes in single origin coffee beans. That means your coffee comes from one place. None of that hybrid garbage you get at the grocery store. This gives you a strong and flavorful coffee experience with each sip, and you'll actually enjoy waking up in the morning. They just launched a new coffee line from India. The beans are left outside in a warehouse to allow the unique waters from the monsoon storms to absorb into the beans and creates an earthy and multi-sweet flavor profile. Are you too lazy to go to the store yourself?
Yes.
Well, don't worry. Brown Bag Coffee Roasters have a fantastic subscription service. That's right. Set how often you need freshly roasted beans, and they'll ship it right to your door in record time. And if you subscribe now, you'll get 10% off, plus an additional 10%
An additional 10%.
with our coupon code TFTPOD. That's TFTPOD.
By my calculations, that's 20%.
This man's got it. And you should too. Brown Bag Coffee Roasters. Good coffee, good people. Thank you.
That was great. That was beautiful.
Paying bills.
So
Gotta keep the lights on, folks.
we got a couple of cool topics today. Brandon has some Aztek.
But not the
Info-
Aztek you think you know. It
What
was actually
Aztek do I
before
know?
the Aztek.
So there's another Aztek before the Aztek?
But in between the original Aztek and the most recent Aztek.
So, like, between the ancient civilization that cut people's hearts,
Yep.
and then a kind of neat but kind of ugly Pontiac SUV.
You got it.
Oh, I'm in.
So what do you have? What do you have on that? Like, what is...
Okay, so you guys remember when we talked about Bring a Trailer?
Yeah.
Do you guys know about Bring a Trailer?
Oh, yeah.
Too much time.
Yeah. So somebody has placed a ad for a Pontiac Aztek, no, not Pontiac Aztek, Italdesign Pontiac Aztek. So Italdesign is an Italian design house. They've made some cars for Maserati and Lamborghini, and this car is a little crazy pants. I don't know how else to describe it. So if I can try and get a decent picture here up for you guys.
Wow. It looks like an
What?
EV110 that they cut the top off.
Exactly.
I don't hate it.
No, I don't hate it either.
Well, I mean, you might if you saw other. So that's on the outside.
It looks like an old camcorder from the 90s.
Or remember those old, like, Sony Walkman that you
Yeah,
record
yeah.
had a microphone that flipped out?
Yes.
From Home Alone. Yeah.
So about this car,
Finger guns.
so this car came out in 1988 at the Turin Auto Show. It was to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Italdesign's design house being in existence. It features individual cockpits, speedster designed or speedster style. So you sit independently of each other in your own little cockpit, and then you have your own so the doors are gull wings, and on the top there's like a
Bubble? Or?
bubble on top that your head would be in, so you could see outside.
So it's like the Simpsons style car when
like the Homer.
produced.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really so you communicate with each other through a PA system, which for 80s electronics I'm sure didn't
What's up,
work
man?
ever. At least 5 minutes after you bought the car. They were supposed to make
Especially
50
being
of them. Only 18 ever rolled out in typical Italian fashion. It featured a mid-mounted Audi-sourced 5-cylinder turbocharged engine making 197 horsepower, even though the exterior boasted a 250 horsepower figure.
15 is fine.
It has 2 control panels, so what you guys saw with the buttons and stuff on the outside, there's 3 buttons, one labeled 1, 2, 3, and then there's a legend on the side. And this is all on the outside rear quarter panels on both sides of the car. And you type in a code, and it'll tell you the coolant level, brake fluid level, a bunch of other like.
It's like binary system, but for your car.
Pretty much. And you
that's a lot of work.
can trigger the draining of the oil by pressing 211. Now I'd be a little concerned to park this outside.
It has an automated drain plug. That's a great idea.
Wait, so where is this located? Like this
So imagine the rear quarter panel behind. So it's a 2-seater. So behind the door, there would be 2 control panels, and the back wheels have like a cover over them for aerodynamics.
Blade Runner style.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what you would.
So it's exposed to the world
So-
to do whatever they want with it.
So, where was this
That's-
built? Italy?
Italy, yes.
You don't even need the automatic drain plug. It's going to leak anyway.
This guy gets it.
Nice.
This guy gets it.
I mean, it's a German engine, though.
Yeah.
It's an Audi 5-cylinder, though.
So it'd sound good, but it would leak a lot.
Yeah, it'd be like, give you Group B tinglies, but
Yes. It was all-wheel drive. It did use a Lancia all-wheel drive system. I think that's how they say it.
Lancia. No, it's
Lancia.
Lancia?
Yeah.
I got chewed out for calling it Lancia.
Okay.
That's a pasta or something like that. Lancia is a...
It's like a cousin of linguine.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Baba da booby, you know? Oh,
It
boy.
also featured a cutout in the door for so people can see your mid-section.
I was about to say that's like Senna.
Yeah.
Right. That's weird.
It's crazy how
So you
car
can
design
park on
kind
You
of...
will look at my thigh as I go flying by.
So like you can't wear. You have to wear pants while driving.
Oh,
You
for
can't,
sure.
Like, just
That
you know,
takes-
send it.
Yeah, it takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah,
No.
kind of.
I don't recommend driving without pants.
I mean, sometimes.
Got to give it a shot, man. You're missing out.
But you are right. It does look like an EB110 with the pop-up headlights and that similar kind of 2 headlight design.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it's kind of a convertible too. So those bubble tops, like the top half of it does come off.
Okay.
I don't know where you'd put it,
Yeah,
but
just
it does have a
zip tie it
front
to the
and a
window or
trunk.
something.
So
Yeah.
You'd think it would like slide back like a fighter plane.
That would be
cool.
cool.
That would be cool.
that would be cool. And the back kind of looks like a Subaru SVX, SVZ,
Yeah.
Okay.
something like that.
SVX, the Cyclone, I think they called it.
Yeah.
On the Japanese
that
market.
one.
With that whole massive light bar and the 4 like oval exhaust tips.
Yeah, definitely getting SVX vibes from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the background, the guy's got a Aventador, Cayman, and a Range Rover. But who cares about those cars? So right now, currently on Bring a Trailer, it's at $105,000.
Seriously?
And the auction ends in 22 hours. So
Yo.
if you're interested, it's too late when you're seeing this podcast. Anyways,
I have $3. How many dollars do you have?
that's way more than I can afford, pal. Italdesign.
I'll give you $350.
The interior is like period correct down to the absolute retroness of that steering wheel, that massive steering wheel cluster
I mean,
assembly. Like,
If you're loaded and addicted to mediocrity, that would kill at Radwood.
that's so true. Those seats look very comfortable,
They
though.
do. It looks like they massage you.
Maybe.
They better at $105,000. So
if
that-
you're getting an F40, you're getting ripped off because it doesn't massage your backside.
Yeah.
Like this does. Let's
Yeah.
be honest here.
Carbon seats, fuck that.
200 mile an hour top speed. Don't need that. No, I'd be comfortable, right?
I
Exactly.
mean, how often are you really going to go that fast?
Well,
I'm
You
not
spend
gonna
most
get
time
into
kind
this
of
again.
bumping around, especially around here.
yes.
The roads are
Yes.
garbage
Yes,
here.
the roads are, and then if you go to Quebec, sorry,
And you're
Quebec.
just in a hole.
Yeah.
Yes.
you
Yeah,
just-
Oh.
you need a 4x4 to get through Quebec.
Yeah.
You'd rattle your fillings out in a tank driving.
Yeah, that's true.
just
man.
Quebec problems. Quebec, fix your roads.
Je me souviens.
What?
Have you guys seen our new license plates yet on the road?
Yeah, they look like a Q-tip box.
Yeah.
The one thing I kind of like about them is they don't get picked up by traffic cameras. So
That's what I heard.
the
And like,
hooning possibilities for like the next 3 weeks are fantastic if you get your shit renewed now.
yeah,
Well, I mean, they're recalling them.
I know,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying.
you
Like,
can't take my license plates.
Right from my cold, dead hands.
This is Canada. My license plates don't need to work.
I guess so. I don't know.
I mean, they work for us. They just don't work for the police.
Yeah.
So
Which, like,
win.
I want to know who greenlit these plates and was like, should we test them with traffic cameras?
Nah, we don't need to.
Yeah, we get enough money already. You know?
Should we see
Give 'em
how
a
well
break.
we can see them from behind?
Not necessary.
All we need now is Q-tip to file a lawsuit for
Oh, the
copyright.
design. Oh no, if they do that, that would be hilarious.
I would.
I would suck
I
for
don't
our
blame
city
them.
or our province, but whatever. That's okay.
Thanks,
I mean-
Doug Ford.
We're fairly early in the process. We can't lose that much money.
That's
on them.
true.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
mean, these are probably better than the ones that fall apart like a sticker and the whole thing comes off in one piece.
Yep.
Like if we had a remote camera, I'd show you the back license plate of my S10 right now. It's gray.
And it's funny because before they put out the recall for those license plates, some people were like just painting the letters back in, and they
Yeah.
got tickets for tampering with their license plate. Well, buddy, you can't see my fucking license plate anyways.
Yeah.
Don't leave them. Don't help them out.
Yeah.
That's true. Anytime you can get one over on the government, do it.
Yep.
The other thing I want to talk about,
Don't get me started.
the Ottawa Provincial Police has is trying to collaborate with Tesla.
No, they're not. No,
Now,
they're
hear
not.
me
Two
out.
things I'm not a big fan of, but continue.
You're not a fan of Tesla?
Ooh, you're digging yourself
I-
right now.
I like how fast they are.
Okay.
It's not Teslas I have a problem with. It's like 75% of the fan club. Because they're torquey, they're fast, like instantaneous torque, right? Just gone. But there's no soul.
You want your vroom vroom noises.
I want my vroom vroom
Yeah.
noises.
Okay, yeah.
I'm in the
Okay.
same club.
That's fair.
Like-
Go on. Sorry, we interrupted.
No, not at all.
As an appliance for getting around, I
As an
totally get
appliance?
it.
It's a good way of putting it. I like
Damn, do you
that.
guys see that new Tesla appliance? Like a toaster? No, like the Model S.
It's like
You
the
could toast
Maytag.
your toast in 3 seconds.
0 to toast.
Thank you. That was good. That was good.
I mean, I'd buy a Tesla toaster.
That'd be kind of cool. They had like lighters at one
mean,
point.
Every electric
flamethrowers.
toaster's a
Art
Tesla
lighter?
toaster.
Yeah. I found one of those in a lease return.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
we have a foosball table at work, and every time somebody loses, we just shock each other with the lighter.
That's fun.
Little
That
incentive.
sounds like a fun and productive work, boys.
I don't think it's enough to kill somebody, but we have defibrillators. Anyways,
Score.
so
that's,
and-
that's the bonus round.
Double or nothing.
Just hit him with the lighter again. That should work.
right on the nipple. In an effort to modernize their fleet, the Ontario Provincial Police are looking to get some electric cars into their fleet. They sent a picture and a render to Tesla on Twitter with a Cybertruck in OPP's livery featuring the Q-tip license plates.
Beautiful.
I think it looks good,
Very,
pretty
very
intimidating.
cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah,
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
cents. There we go. Yeah.
but I don't think it would be effective, on a pursuit.
No.
Because then what if you run out of charge? Your battery just goes flat.
Especially in the cold.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for like a tactical vehicle. It's got to be, you got to 100% reliable. And
That's true.
if it gets cold, you lose, I don't know what the
I think it's somewhere between 15 and 18% of battery capacity.
I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, somewhere around that, I
That's
guess.
quite a lot.
That is a lot, yeah.
jump.
Well, I mean, it's just,
So if you're
it's just cold, right?
chasing somebody, mind you, doctrine now typically is to not chase.
Yeah.
And that's a big ass truck too. It's like 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So
So if it catches you, it's shoving your shit in. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah,
a bad
for
day
sure.
you.
just throw a corner at it and be like,
I don't think it doesn't look like it could like if they had to arrest somebody, I don't think they could put somebody in the back.
yeah, that roof line's pretty low.
Pretty low.
Like,
I could like we're
Put them in like fetal position in the back seat, cup their ankles to their wrists, and then you'll be fine.
it might just have like a fucking net that it throws at people in the front. Wrap them up and just like a web.
I think from a tactical point of view, like it could work, but from a normal operations, I don't think it can, especially because they need compartments and different computers and electronics set up for doing their day-to-day stuff. I don't think it would work that way, but maybe it's like a SWAT car.
Yeah, you could roll up on a a guy who's entrenched in his home like quietly.
Yeah.
Hello,
They're gonna
quietly,
just-
yeah.
There's honking diesel outside.
You need something a bit bigger though for that, because I mean, They're bulletproof windows. His buddy put a rock through it. See, if the Tesla built something like your typical SWAT van,
Yeah.
maybe a little cyberpunky with the stealth fighter angles and what have you, but bigger and then armored. And it's quiet, like SWAT van doesn't get rolled out all that often.
That's true.
So we just kind of...
You could just leave it plugged into the wall and take it out when you need to.
Just kind of
Jetson noise.
Yeah, you Jetson over, then your operators jump out, you blow down the door, and...
I think that, I'd be pretty terrified of a Cybertruck. Just fucking knock down my front door.
It might be good for downtown kind of protection, you know what I mean?
So
Like around Parliament and stuff
even
like that, I
outside
can
of
see
like a tactical point of view or a potential combative point of view, just as community outreach, how cool would it be to have like a fair in a small town and the OPP presence there isn't an electric truck? That speaks a lot. And
Yeah,
that's
that would
probably
be cool.
what they're doing it for.
Yeah, especially in a Cybertruck that's not just like a typical electric truck. Like this is a really cool futuristic thing.
Yeah.
I think it would bring in a lot of people. Be like, oh, I want to be a cop now. Like that shit
Yeah.
looks cool as hell. What the fuck?
Yeah, I can see
I like
that.
that's what they did in the 90s with like the Z28.
Yeah,
police.
Yeah.
Can confirm. When I was in my early 20s, I'd done a bit of the process of signing up with the RCMP, and like what got me in was like, hey, cool, guns, and oh shit, they've got Z28 Camaro Interceptor cars. I want to do that.
Yeah.
They don't have them anymore.
No.
But it's still in the brochure last time I looked.
How can I sign up for this?
This
I
is
want
what
to do
want.
this and nothing else.
I don't want to write tickets. I don't want to do paperwork. I just want to drive this Camaro back and forth the highways and byways. Pay me and pension. Thank you.
Pull up next to a guy and race him. Be like, sir, you're a cop. Shut the fuck up.
Do you know why I pulled you
Better
over?
not win.
Because you beat me.
That would be cool to do the Cannonball run in, but I'll talk about that.
We will talk about
We'll
that
talk
later.
about that later.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
They also tweeted again in February 22nd showing an employee. I don't know if I put the picture here somewhere. An employee holding. No, I didn't put it up. An employee holding up pictures of the two renders. The second render actually being the Model X, which I think would be a very effective
That would make
security / patrolling vehicle.
Yeah.
Plenty of space. Plenty of options for customizing that trunk out. Hopefully, they can integrate the screens into the Tesla's original massive screen,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so they
'cause
don't have the laptop.
You have all your dispatch right there in the
Exactly.
Tesla screen.
That's the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
That
that
the
makes more
glowing
sense.
one?
Going back
Yeah.
doors.
Okay.
So I don't know how well that would do with the. Well, I guess the lights would just have to be up the front half.
Yeah.
Well, LEDs are so flexible now.
Flashbacks from
Back
earlier
to this
today.
morning. I think they should get a couple of them.
It would be smart. It's a good investment, and plus, if they're going towards the route of environmentally friendly, it's a good push to see regular commuters go towards that kind of style of cars. There's not a whole lot of them around the city. There's a few Teslas and a couple of those Chevy Volts, which are kind of garbage looking.
Sorry, Andrew.
Is that one of your buddies?
Yeah, he's going to be one of the guys who probably watches this. He just got a Volt this week, so sorry, Andrew,
Sorry,
but you
Andrew,
suck.
but they look like trash. They look like weird badges. Almost like the Cybertruck, but like swished. Kind of. I don't know.
Cybertruck with a birth defect.
Well, here's my question though.
Yeah.
OPP mostly handles rural areas and open highways, right? Where are they going to use something like this in an inner
That
city
is
role?
a
Because
very-
most large metropolitan areas have their own private police forces, like OPS
Yeah.
here in Ottawa. Hey, Casey, what's up?
Oh, that's something we haven't
Called out.
mentioned on
That's
the fucking
actually-
podcast
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
No pictures of my car on this podcast.
Right on.
We
Yeah.
will blur all the license plates. Don't worry.
Maybe they're going to use it for highway patrol. Well, do you know how? Have you ever seen on OPPs underneath bridges is radaring people?
Yeah.
It could be one of those, right? Just like a dispatch car hanging out on the highway, radaring people. Pay, okay, you got someone doing like
Yeah,
140.
call ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not sitting there burning gas all day.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's a good idea.
The radar gun can't use that much electricity.
No.
It's just a laser pointer, like.
Yeah.
Even if
It
they
works.
had something like a solar panel that they can. I mean, I know effectively a solar panel is not going to charge this car up that much.
Especially if it's
but-
parked under an underpass.
Yeah, I mean that might be a glaring problem.
But maybe they'll put solar panels on the underpass and just plug the Tesla into there.
Wait, the
good
solar panels are on the underside of the
No, like on the
underpass?
sides of it or something.
Yeah,
like
Like,
up,
like next
yeah.
next to the big green signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, it makes
get
sense.
sprayed with salt and mud.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
It starts jobs though. You can like pay people to clean those.
The snowplow comes on a bridge, just dumps snow on the outside.
Cop doesn't have enough juice to get home that night.
Honey.
Well, this is
Fill
me
them
now.
up. Somebody bring me a diesel generator so I can go home.
Oh man, that'll be
I
good.
do really like this idea. I think they shouldn't have those cool wheels because you need to handle a fucking speed bump at
Or
speeds.
hop a curb or something like that.
And maybe not Pirelli Scorpions because those have a life expectancy of 3 kilometers. But otherwise,
What a 3 kilometers.
I think it's a great idea.
I
And I
think it's
think
cool.
they should.
It's a great render, and I think it's a good idea for like definitely inner city stuff.
Yeah.
For municipalities who do not have their own police force, that makes sense.
For sure. I think maybe instead of OPP, OPS should really get
Yeah.
on something like that,
Yeah.
especially the ones patrolling areas.
Yeah.
And there's
Quite
such
regularly.
a distinctive shape that you'd be able to see them coming from a
Yeah.
ways off.
Yeah.
That might be one of the downfalls of it.
But people
Go
will
with
be
it.
more aware. They're not going to do stupid crap, you know?
Yeah,
And
that's
see,
true.
I've always argued that the black and white, the traditional black and white, the side of the highway does a hell of a lot more than an unmarked car ticketing people.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's really about protecting, I'm going to be a mini rant here. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Go
it's
for
fine,
it.
it's
If
Go
it's,
for
if
it.
it's about saving lives and preventing accidents and what have you, then why are you making money off it?
Mm-hmm.
Parking a black and white at the side of the highway with a fucking cardboard cutout in it would cause or prevent more accidents and prevent more
Issue than
yeah.
than having a hidden car. Yeah.
than having a Taurus painted green and then all of a sudden it's got lights on it. You're getting a ticket.
Yeah.
If it's about, you got to decide. If it's about generating revenue, okay, then like have a Nissan Sentra, whatever you want.
They do have those actually.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah.
running around.
Yeah. There's a,
They got
there's a
98
Sentra.
Sentra running around with.
And there's actually, I think I saw on one of the Facebook pages, which I will not mention because of the reaction I got earlier. They're driving an old Uplander now.
Really?
Yeah, like a 2008 Uplander van that's got police gear on the inside of it.
I could hear the ghost.
we were talking about the Tesla a lot.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I have seen a G8 too.
Yeah,
there's
there was
a-
a G8.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like
And I've seen a 300C, like a 2012 300C, with like 20-inch chrome wheels on it, but he's got all the LEDs and the windshield and behind the grill.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's,
They've
that's
got.
pretty crazy.
I would love to get into that warehouse to see the fleet of ghost cars, not for like research purposes, just to see what they thought was cool or a good idea to switch over to police service.
Toronto had like your typical GMC Express workman's van.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Toronto Police Service had one. Like it had a ladder and everything on the roof, but like barely visible transparent letters had OPP decal on the side of it.
Really?
And lights and everything. And
I feel like that's unsafe though. Imagine you're in a situation where you need police help, but an unmarked car just passes right by you. Like you're not gonna flag down random people. Like if you're
Yeah.
in a certain situation, you got kidnapped or some shit,
yeah,
you need help. I don't know. I'm just.
Oh, I thought you were saying like having the ladder on the roof of this thing. The guy's in a pursuit and the ladder flies off.
Oh, there's that too. No, there's that too. But oh yeah, I never thought about
It's
that.
like
it could be a projectional if you hit the brakes hard enough. Put it through the back
some
windshield.
lethal weapon stuff
Yeah.
in here.
20 miles an hour? Fuck you. Well, I mean, if there's multiple suspects, just take the ladder and put them all on top of their head. They're all kind of stuck, right?
Yeah, cuff them to the rungs and just make them
There you go.
walk back. You know,
We're going back to the 19th century here. We've got the locks and the stocks and everything.
Need to go under a bridge that can't fit.
Or if they
Oh,
rear
man.
end somebody and that ladder goes flying in the back of the guy's head in front of them.
Oh no.
Especially if it's an extended
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some Final Destination shit.
Oh yeah.
We've taken a dark turn on the flat tire today, guys.
So moving on, let's. We talked a little bit about technology and how OPP and OPS might be using this. Do you guys watch Formula One or are a little bit interested in Formula One?
A little bit.
A little bit. So it's not really Formula One in general I want to speak about, but this new technology that Mercedes came out with called the DAS steering system.
Das ist gut, ja.
DAS is
Stop stealing, yeah.
so DAS meaning dual axis steering. So somebody who drives fast and you want to have a good alignment, not so much on the track in safe conditions. Blah, blah,
Of course,
blah.
yeah.
When you set your toe, you let it go, as Brandon would say. You put
I
a
don't
little
even
bit.
do alignments.
I don't know.
But that is the general rule for
That
alignments.
is the general rule. That's how you make $1,000.
Who's charging $1,000 for an alignment?
10 alignments a month.
That's a sad shop, maybe.
Maybe.
Anywho's.
Moving on. So this DAS dual axis steering. Mercedes had come up with it for their Formula One car. So if you're going in a straight line, you don't want any toe because it causes uneven wear or premature wear, and it slows you down. So in a straight line, you want straight toe while cornering for faster entry. What is happening?
You want straight toe instead of like gay toe?
I was sure, I guess.
It just sounded funny hearing
So
straight toe.
you don't want a toe at all. You want to cut your toes off. You want no toe while going straight, so your tires are as straight as possible. In corner in, so when you're turning into a corner, you want a little bit of toe out. Exactly. It kind of helps you push and pull. So Mercedes decided to have a steering wheel that moves in and out to adjust toe on the fly. So on their straights, they pull the steering wheel, okay, and it brings your toe in to a toe out to no toe at all, and into a corner you can push it.
That's pretty neat.
It toes out. So it's a really cool technology. A lot of their competitors, like Ferrari, they're like, "What the hell is this pasta shit?" You know, this craziness. What the hell is this? I don't know. They'd say them bobbity boobity stuff.
Nice Lancia callback.
So they were kind of cheesed about it. McLaren was like, "What do we do with this?" Racing Point was like, "You know what? We'll just take the old Mercedes that they had, which is pretty much what they did, paint it pink, and integrate that system into what they have." Because Racing Point pretty much bought the old Mercedes from last year.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, they didn't paint it pink. That's Force India.
No, so Force India is not Racing Point.
Yeah, I know. So their Racing Point's cars aren't pink.
Yeah, they're.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh,
they're still
mega
pink.
lol.
Brandon likes Formula One sometimes.
No, I don't. It's so boring.
It's not. I enjoy it. There's a lot of
Listen,
cool stuff.
I used to
around
not be a fan.
What is this? Well, hold on. What is this?
Do you find Formula One boring too?
Formula yawn.
Formula One?
I agree. It's only fun for the first 20 minutes, and then they just stay the same for the whole race.
That's because everyone's so like, Mercedes is always up here, Ferrari's here, then everyone else is like down here.
Well, and also,
There's
if there's
no
ever any
competitive.
contact, they've got to have a governor's inquest about it. Because
The
God
steward's
forbid they should.
inquiry.
That's it. God forbid they should rub tires. This is not racing. This is a parade, don't you know?
That's fair. That's fair.
Sorry, Kishan.
No, it's
I love
fine,
the technology. I like hearing about the
Yeah,
cars.
like
Please go on. Please go
I
on.
enjoy Formula One for the technology. There are some pretty shit values of Formula One that are born. Like I enjoy Formula E racing more because they're bumper to bumper. They're like fucking.
Yeah.
They're scraping. I don't know. Just you kind of talked about new technology and how they're kind of bringing it into the real world. Thought I'd mention that.
Now, how is that
Cool.
not cheating?
For 2021, it is cheating, but for 2020, there was no rules around mid-race adjustments.
Big oof.
Yeah, so they found a loophole, they jumped in it, and just sent it.
I guess that's what Formula One's about, is finding a loophole.
Well, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be about pushing the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Then the whole trickle down effect
Mm-hmm.
into the manufacturing.
It's an interesting concept to think trickling down into passenger cars, but as a technician and all the guys here who work on cars, that would be a pain in the ass to do
Oh my
anything
God.
with. Like, sorry, lady, your toe isn't getting adjusted. It's staying right where it needs to be. And this whole system would just yank it out and throw an old E63 system in there. Have fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty horrible.
You're more rich than me. Fuck off with your white people problems.
Damn. All right. Anyways, I just thought I'd want to mention that. People who know a little more about the system, like, let us know. I didn't do too much research into it. I just kind of skimmed the surface of it, and I think it's cool. If it trickles down into consumer vehicles, like on the highway,
Then I
adjust toe
quit.
to. That's,
I'm getting out of the trade. If that's some shit I have to deal with, I'm getting out of the
but it
trade.
would save tires though on the highway.
No, it
Imagine
wouldn't.
less scrubbing.
No, it wouldn't. I
wouldn't?
guarantee you, Karen is going to be driving that thing toe out all the time, just fucking wearing them,
to keep it going back now. Should pull it back.
just wearing those tires out all day. Why did these tires only last me 5K? I don't know, lady. Where's your steering wheel when you drive? Oh, it's all the way back, so they're straight. Okay.
Is it really though?
Is this covered under warranty? No.
Nope.
No. I don't know why you think tires are warranty.
But like, if the system was used in like a race per se, like, or a long joyride or cruise, wouldn't it kind of help?
I don't think it serves
Well,
enough practicality wise. No one's taking turns as fast as they can, or not a lot of people are. Some of us
Yeah.
are.
Sometimes it depends on the situation. Sometimes you just accidentally like push the wheel forward a little bit, and then you turn, then you
You're
just
kind
got
of
instant
essentially pushing your tires down the highway at like a 15-degree angle.
Yeah.
stance nation, I guess. I don't know.
Stun station.
But moving on, those are what we wanted to talk about with you guys. I know you guys are on the show for a purpose,
Mysterious purpose.
mysterious purpose. And the reason why is because you guys morphed out of Ramsey. Ramsey osmosis himself into two white guys somehow.
It's true.
Just kind of like,
I'm the handsome half of Ramsey. Josh is the rugged half of Ramsey.
perfect.
Sure.
Good stuff.
I don't know.
Take
I've
that.
never met Ramsey. I'm sure you're a lovely person, but
The
you're
Wonder
in
Twin
Thailand,
powers
so.
activated.
Form of Ramsey.
Yeah, but Ramsey is away. He went to Thailand for about a month. We thought we could get rid of his joke, but he ended up sending us a video, so we'll watch that later on. But Josh and Jared are here because they went on a very cool road trip across America known as the Cannonball Run. I don't know much about it. All I know is that it goes from like one end to the other and you do some stuff.
You're going to learn today.
You gonna learn.
All right, cool. That's what I'll hear about.
So where do you want to start?
First of all, tell us what a Cannonball Run. I know Keisha just barely just touched the surface on it, but tell us what the classic Cannonball Run was about.
We'll do like a Cole's notes of the Cannonball
Yes.
history. Cool. I won't bore you too much with it, but basically, in the 70s, I'm not going to go into exact years because I don't remember. In the 70s, they brought in the countrywide 55 mile an hour speed limit in the United States to save gas. They claimed it was under saving lives, but it was for fuel savings because they had the embargoes and all that other shit.
Okay, yeah.
There's a writer for Car and Driver and race car driver by the name of Brock Yates, and he posited that there should be a separate class of driver's license for people who are skilled, like skilled drivers. Like you have to do all the testing and all that. And that the 55 mile an hour was artificially low, and it was just going to make things more inconvenient for everybody. So it's kind of to prove a point and more to flip the bird to authority. He said, well, we can drive from New York to LA as fast as possible and not have any problems. So we got a bunch of his friends together, and because he's involved in the racing community, so we got Dan Gurney and a bunch of other race car drivers and other scofflaws that kind of wanted to thumb their nose at the powers that be. They met at the Red Ball Garage in East 31st Street, Manhattan, which at the time was the parking area for Car and Driver in their New York office. So that's where all the cars were kept. So if you look into the history of this thing, that's the only significance of it is just that's where it started because that's where he parked his car. And they set off cross country and basically breakneck, balls out, kind of sort of planned, headed west, and they picked a swanky hotel because they're a bunch of degenerates, so they wanted to go to a swanky place to kind of, again, flip everybody off. And they picked the Portofino Marine in Redondo Beach, California, which is, I don't know if you picked it because it sounded hoity-toity, but that's where they're going. And so, you go from Red Ball Garage, East 31st Street in Manhattan, to the Portofino Marina and in Redondo Beach, California, as quickly as possible. And this event happened twice under Brock Yates, I believe. And then after that, there was the U.S. Express, which happened a few times in the 80s. Following that, there's the 2904, again, a low-cost version of the Cannonball Run. And then there's the C2C Express, which just ran their last event this year. And in terms of Cannonball nomenclature, you've got what is called Cannonball Run, which is a competitive event, multiple cars, field of cars, leaving at staggered times, shortest time wins. And you've got a solo run, which is what my brother and I did. And solo run is a little bit more freeform. You just go for it.
The idea is to try and get. I mean, there's a believe it or not, there's a leaderboard of records for running across the country as fast as you can. What's the name of the current winner?
Ernie Toman, Douglas Tabbitt, and the third guy, because everybody forgets the third guy, unfortunately.
Sorry, third guy.
He's a nice guy too, I'm sure. But
Yeah, Ramsey.
I'm sure he's lovely.
That's the third guy.
Ramsey's the third guy
yeah, there
today.
you go.
Sorry, Ramsey.
you're the backseat, Ramsey.
Oh, he's in Thailand. He's having such a bad time.
I'm sure it's nice there. I don't know.
I'm sure it's
Fuck
nice.
you.
You know.
Oh, that
Trees
no
and
snow.
sarcasm.
And to kind of bring us up to why we're sitting here is my brother and I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube from a channel called VinWiki, which was run by the former Cannonball record holder.
Okay.
And watching those videos day in, day out, kind of got planted a bug in my head. And from there, we kind of said, screw it, let's give it a shot.
So the genesis of us actually launching on this endeavor was we had originally intended to take two of our best friends, a guy named Adam Fata and a buddy named we call him Joker.
Josh Krudulis.
Yeah.
Joker's easier.
Damn Polish. We're getting racist today. Love you, Joe. You're a good guy. And we originally intended to run. You guys heard of the 24 Hours of Lemons?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, 24 Hours of Lemons is a endurance racing series. It's $500 for a car. Oh, sorry. $500 for the car or less, and then you race them for 24 hours, and whoever comes out the other side is the winner.
Okay.
They also run a road rally event where they will go from place to place, and it's like a scavenger hunt, and it's over 3 or 4 days. We originally intended to do the Route 66 version of that, running from Chicago to Los Angeles, and unfortunately, we couldn't get in that year because it ran before we were finished building our car.
Yeah.
And we got this idea, well, if we can't do that, why don't we do the Cannonball run? That sounds like a good idea. Let's go do some dumb stuff. And we had a full crew of 4 guys, which eventually whittled down to just the 2 of us. And to the point that we were so into this to the point that we decided to do basically an entire rebuild of his 89 Caprice.
Okay.
I'll let you go into the specifics of your car.
Yes. So I have an 89 Chevrolet Caprice that we used for this bad idea. I bought it, 4 years ago now?
Something like that. Off Kijiji.
It had this high mileage car, 307,000 kilometers on it. 305 with a bad head gasket and leaky 200 R4 transmission. But the body was rock solid.
Mm-hmm.
It was, the first owner was a Crown rust proofing business owner.
Okay.
So it was in Kingston or Napanee, somewhere in there. It's the first car to get sprayed, and he drove it down to Florida as soon as he got it sprayed. So the body was immaculate. A little bit less so now that I've owned it. And then the second guy that owned it drove it year-round. Took okay care of it. A couple little problems that I had to sort of fix out afterwards. And I bought it from him, and I drove it for 2 years, completely stock, except for big tires on it, like big wide 245 tires and 8-inch wide wheels. And square stance sort of luck to it.
Okay.
Going
And
for a
then-
1980s NASCAR sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Cool.
if you ever watch, I'm sure we've all seen Fast and Furious 7 here.
Yeah.
The final chase, Tyrese had a box Chevy 4-door.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, it was just gnarly looking. That's eventually what I want to do with it.
Okay,
Get
cool.
that kind of low down, gnarly NASCAR look to it, as budget and time allows. But as far as the way it sits now, it's got...
Well, I should preface this. When we decided to do the Cannonball run, the 305 had been baked a couple of times because the coolant had leaked out of it. And
Yeah,
it wasn't in any condition to drive across the country at any speed.
I overheated it a few times, yeah.
And our dad, he's an old school hot rodder. He's been doing this stuff since the early 70s.
60s.
Yeah, late 60s, early 70s. He's an older fella, but he's built a
Hi, Dad.
lot of cars in his day. And he was like back in the day, the Carling Avenue street racing scene. Like they used to drag race right on Carling Avenue before it turned into the tank trap that it is.
Yeah.
And I think Dad was probably top 3 fastest guys in the city.
Okay. So was he one of the guys who would run slicks? And
Oh, yeah.
all that?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story before we get back on track. He had a 29 Model A Ford Roadster. So no fenders on it, no hood, no roof. And he had a big block Chevy with a tunnel ram, four speed. If he let the
big-ass tires.
big tires on the back end, if he let the clutch out at like 3,500 RPM, leaving a light, it would chuck the front tires off
I
the
feel
ground.
like I heard a story about that car from someone else.
It was infamous. He ran that insofar as until he got it sold, and I think he had the 67 Firebird called Quicksilver that was pretty famous around these parts for a bit as well.
Yeah.
But that being said, Dad now, he plays around with older 1990s LT1 Chevy V8s. That's his thing. So out of Caprices, Camaros, Firebirds.
So the LT one is kind of like your 350 small block, but the coolant flowed reverse to it, and it had, well, its Achilles heel was the distributor called the OptiSpark, which they mounted below and slightly behind the water pump. And so if the water pump leaked, it went right into your distributor, and that was it.
Yeah, it's game.
You were
So
you were stranded.
That sounds like a stupid idea.
Shitty design, shitty idea. When it works, it's brilliant. And
Even the ones in the big cars, they were 260 horse. Like they were
Yeah.
potent without being from a sports car. And that's where we got. Well, I think we built one engine out of two.
no, we kept backing up. Before I got divorced, I had an 87 Trans Am GTA.
Okay.
Which I regretfully sold, but for way more than it was worth. So it was okay.
Winning.
I took that money from the GTA and I bought a 94 Caprice. This is after I bought my 89 Caprice.
Okay.
So the 94 had the LT1 in it and a 4L60E, which is, I'm finding now, quite fragile. And all the, it was a swap car. So I bought it. I drove it up and down the block a couple times. Transmission was cooked. It was missing second gear, but it still hauled ass. Okay. I wanted to originally do an LS swap. And I found out how expensive they are. So for $800, which is what that 94 was worth, I had an engine, drivetrain, and all that shit for my 89. And we ripped all that out of the car and then shoved it under my bench for 2 years. And then the 305 puked its last.
And then we got the idea to do the Cannonball run. And well, we need an engine. Let's just take that one from under the bench and jam it in there. And it sounds like an easy process because it's just a small block Chevy swap. It was like, once we were done figuring out all the electrical stuff, we were a better part of 2 months doing this.
Yeah,
Wow.
2 months of weekends.
Yeah, 2 months
Yeah.
of weekends, not every night. We're not that inept. Just a little inept.
But so we chucked in the LT1, which is another high mileage engine, but we pulled the head or the cylinder head off, not cylinder head, the intake manifold off, and the valves were clean. Like the lady that owned it before me had taken immaculate care of it. Me less so. So we threw that in there, and I found a transmission out in Gloucester under a car that was rotten in half. And so, funny story, we'll do a quick version. Our original intention was we brought a tractor out to this Roadmaster, and we hooked a chain up to the seatbelt and to pull the car over on its side. We could pull the transmission out of the bottom of it.
Yeah, some real roadkill shit.
So we pulled this car on its side, and the engine transmission were still on the ground. That's how rotten it was.
Oh, wow.
It just pulled everything off. It was bonus.
All we did was just pick up the transmission, put it in the car, and then drive away, or in the trunk and driving away. And that transmission was rebuilt, 180,000 kilometers on it. So we threw all that stuff into my car. And then I put Impala SS, I think it was Eibach shocks in it. So like slightly stiffer valving and all that. And I put my same steering box out of my 87 Trans Am GTA. I put that in the car.
Real fast ratio box.
Yeah, like 2.5 turns lock to lock.
Oh, okay.
And then with 245 width tires, that big boat can actually do.
You could autocross with it, to be honest.
I plan to.
Cards.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
I got sway bars and everything lined up for it this summer and springs. I'm going to put in, and I want to autocross it. I want to run. Well, I can't afford to run it up at Bogey, but
Yeah.
I will be running it around Bogey. So we got that thing done in a little over a month and a bit, and I drove it to New York or Syracuse, New York, Montreal to try and get the teething problem sorted out with it. And
there were many.
And so that's kind of the long and short of the car is it's just an engine and transmission swap with some stiff shocks and some big tires for now, and a dual exhaust.
We also made a few, like we were talking about earlier, tactical changes to the vehicle. Now, we couldn't afford, like the guys who hold the records, to go out and buy radar jammers and laser jammers and all these detectors. What we could do is we could afford a pair of binoculars and a CB radio.
and Waze.
Waze
is
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
In terms of the tactical modifications, we built our own center console with a CB and like about 3 or 4 charging ports, so we can have 2 or 3 devices running at the same time for navigation and a funny thing, if you plan on doing a cross-country road rally, make sure your speedometer works. That helps a lot with timing and getting to where you need to go quickly.
That was the one issue is the 4L60E transmission is like an electronic speed sensor, and the 89 Caprice is an analog one. So, and there's a little gizmo you can plug in between the transmission and speedometer, which has an electric motor that'll tell you how fast you're going, but it's $350. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
We'll just put our cell phone on the dashboard.
That's
That's
what I do.
speedometer app.
There's this
Right on.
speedometer app. You can mirror it and put it up on your dashboard, and you have a really cheap ghetto heads-up display at nighttime. It's awesome.
Fuck it. Why not?
Balling on a budget.
Exactly.
Free apps get like ads every once in a while.
Yes, actually. I'm like, how fast am I going? McDonald's. What? No. I did want McDonald's though, so it was effective advertising.
That was the short of the modifications to the car to be able to do this. Now, I think the decision-making process of doing a long-distance endurance race should probably be talked about a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and preface this that it's a bad idea.
Yeah, don't.
It's the glory you feel from a successful run, which I consider ours successful because we made it there and back safely. It doesn't come until weeks after. If you've got a mediocre run like what you did. The record being 27:25, I think.
Yeah, 27 hours and 25
We did
minutes.
in 52:37.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our goal was sub 48 hours.
Now,
If we didn't stop to take a nap,
well, here's the thing. we originally intended to have 3 guys in the car.
Right.
When you only have 2 dudes, you've got to split the driving and navigation duties between both, and both need to stay awake because
Yeah.
you've got one guy driving, the other guy running nav, and looking for cops through the binoculars just to sort of head that off at the pass before we have to worry about it. And that's a lot to expect from 2 people, and to try and maintain that level of attention, especially when you've never done anything like this before. And if we had a third person, I genuinely think we would have done it sub 48, maybe even around 43, 44.
yeah.
We lost 3 hours because he was ready to pass out behind the wheel, so we pulled
I
him.
did.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember because
we were in, I think,
Missouri.
And I was driving along, and it's like, white line fever. And then I kind of dozed off. I woke up, and I saw K-Rail, and I went, ah! I legit screamed like a little old lady. Sorry.
He's saying sorry for screaming into the mic, and Claire's wearing headphones.
Sorry. I thought, you thought you blew the speakers out, not that he was being a misogynist piece of shit.
No, I legit did not want to. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I'm sorry, everybody.
My bad.
Headphone users beware.
This is going great.
Oh man.
But yeah, I shrieked and then chucked that really fast steering and got the rear tires loose at 60 and then got it back. Said, we need to stop. And I think we stopped at Subway before that.
No, we did that the next morning. We ended up stopping in the parking lot of a paper company in the middle of Missouri, and I could not for the life of me pinpoint it for you on the map.
Yeah.
It's like we drove into a pocket dimension and drove out the next morning. It's funny because we parked at one end of the parking lot, intending to get 3 hours nap, whatever, and get going and have to basically redouble our efforts and go faster. And I didn't sleep at all. You slept decent in the back.
About an hour and a half.
And then when we woke up, there's like all these people coming into work, and they parked at the far end of the parking lot from us, and just casting side eyes while they're having their morning dart and brown bag coffee.
We had the windows rolled. Brown bag coffee.
Available worldwide.
We had the windows rolled down. I'm like, one of my feet was hanging out the window. Despite how big that car is, I'm bigger, and couldn't stretch out in the back seat, so I had my feet dangling out the window, and like. Actually, no, I won't go into that. About the back seat of the car. We pile into the car the next morning, and off we went. And past that nap, everything's kind of a blur because it was just open or it was mostly nighttime too. I think we hit dawn when we got Texas, right?
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
All right, so I am a big Western guy. Like I like Sergio Leone and the old Clint Eastwood films. That's my jam. I love those things.
All right.
So I've been looking forward to seeing what they call Big Sky Country, and that starts once you get past Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. So we get past Tulsa, Oklahoma. The hills disappear entirely. The city is gone, and you have this giant penetrating blue sky that makes you feel tiny and insignificant. It's the first time you stand underneath something like that and have literally nothing on the horizon around you. It's very, very humbling. And it was, and for me, it was quite the moment. And then 10 hours later, having more big sky, I was fucking sick of it.
Give me my valleys and pine trees.
Like we got out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we go into the panhandle of Texas. And I think a lot of the world has this sort of Texas fetishism. Like you think cowboys and six guns and blasting it out with Native Americans and all that.
It's windmills and nothing.
It's windmills and
driving,
flatness.
I'll describe driving across the panhandle of Texas. Windmills, 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 Amarillo, windmills, 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 New Mexico. That's driving across the top of Texas. So if you're in Amarillo though, stop by the Big Texan.
Okay, what is that?
It's a steak joint. And like they kind of they were the first ones that had the first food challenge, and they have so it's like a 72-ounce steak, and if you can eat it in under 2 hours, it's free. Okay. And like I think maybe
it's a side of brontosaur. It's about that big.
Like I don't know how big the cow is that they cut this off of. Yeah. I've never done it. I stopped there 3 years ago when I went to Roadkill Zip Tie Drags in Tucson, Arizona. Okay. I stopped there on the way back to get something to eat, and damn good steak I got 2 beers. Baked potato, French fries, 32-ounce steak, and I was a shrimp cocktail, which I despise, so I passed that off. And it was like $30 American.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. You can eat great in the States. I mean, everybody there's look at me. Everybody there is huge. It costs less than what it costs to make me this big. It's awesome. If you like to eat, you can do a lot worse than the Southern United States.
Yeah. So hauling across Texas, we got into New Mexico. And everything that I was hoping for from Texas is in New Mexico. Yeah. So when you're winding, the roads are nice and windy, even though it's a highway. You've got these big red and orange rock formations around you, and it just gets better the farther you go along I-40 West. I took over driving just before Albuquerque, cue Bugs Bunny jokes.
Made a left turn in Albuquerque.
And actually, leaving Albuquerque to get to California, you do take a left turn in Albuquerque. And we drive into this massive valley, cruise along that for a bit. And when I was looking for the American West, I actually found it on I-40. About, I want to say 60, 70, maybe 100 miles from Albuquerque along the I-40. You drive into this absolutely picturesque valley. It's got to be about 20 miles wide, and the rocks just still dwarf you when they're far off in the distance. Yeah. And there's a train track with a train going through the middle. If there was wild horses running around, I would not be surprised. I've never been stunned by natural beauty before. It took the words out of my mouth. I can't adequately describe it. They should, as they always say, they should have sent a poet. And then after New Mexico, we did
Russell's.
Oh yeah, Russell's. I forgot about Russell's. All right, you tell them about Russell's.
All right, so Russell's is a car museum / gas station / restaurant / cultural center in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, New Mexico. Awesome. It's on I-40 West or East. You can get it from either direction, and it's on like a slight hill. And there's probably 20 or 30 cars in the collection, and all historically significant American cars from
and a couple Europeans.
What have you? Oh yeah,
Carmen Ghia.
Yeah. So like just culturally significant cars in the collection, and a couple of guys in the area that had hot rods that they wanted to store it and people to appreciate it year round.
It should be noted that, no joke, it is the only thing around for about 150 miles in any direction.
Yeah,
I feel bad for people who work there because your commute would be so bad.
Yeah, there's nothing. That's like it's the middle of buttfuck nowhere. You just you truck along I-40. It's like there's little gas stations here and there. This is the only thing that kind of catches your eye. And 3 years ago, when I went out to Tucson, we were on the road for 9 or 10 hours at that point. We had just left Oklahoma City, and we stopped at Russell's and probably spent 2 or 3 hours there. I need to get into the parfaits. I'm sorry.
What's the parfaits?
So a parfaits, do you remember the Jell-O pudding from the 90s? You mix it with milk, you put it in the fridge. That's fucking delicious. My mom used to make that all the time. And like the prepackaged cups you get at the grocery store aren't the same. They're no good. Russell's makes their own parfaits.
Okay.
And they're in it's chocolate pudding and whipped cream and Oreo cookies in like a big gulp cup. It's absurd. And it's like $2, and it's probably 3 weeks of your daily allowance of sugar. But they're delicious. And I haven't had anything like it, and you can't get them anywhere. Like Metro and Arnprior made a couple, and they sucked. They were all running. This one's at Russell's amazing. And so I told them
go to New Mexico's for the parfaits, guys.
go for the museum, stay for the parfaits. And I told them we have to stop at Russell's. And why? I'm like, car museum. Yeah. And
that's why we're stopping.
Sure enough, there were 2 parfaits there. I bought both of them, ate them. in like 5 minutes and was sick afterwards. It was totally worth it.
And to be honest, if we hadn't stopped, because I think we stopped there ostensibly for a bathroom break and a quick run through the museum and then get in the car and go.
Yeah.
We probably were trapped there for about an hour because just taken in by all this kitschy Route 66 Americana.
The thing is, it's not just cars. They have every piece of Americana you can imagine on the walls, like Betty Boop shit, Elvis stuff.
Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty
there's
stuff.
a shrine to Dale Earnhardt there, and Elvis stuff, and lunch boxes, toys. Like,
It was
everything
weird.
you'd find at American Pickers. They get all crazy. It's like that. It's kind of where American Pickers just vomited all over the walls.
It is a glorious and vulgar display of wealth, and I loved every second of
Americana.
it. Yeah, and like I said, we probably shouldn't have stayed there as long as we did, especially considering we're racing against time. Like we wanted to get going. It's just it was hypnotic. We couldn't leave.
Yeah. And then after Russell's, there wasn't really much to report.
Lake Havasu.
Well, yeah. Once we got to Arizona.
So this is after dark. This is the only weather we encountered on the trip until we got back to Canada. We're running through Arizona. We're doing about 95, 98 miles an hour. It's just a dead straight road with nothing on it. And we're getting little spatters of rain on the windshield, which is starting to slow our pace down a little bit. And then just this crack of purple lightning, no shit, from horizon to horizon.
Yeah.
It lights up the sky to the point that you can see the road. You could turn your headlights off. And it lasted for a good 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was cool.
And I'm like, all right, full throttle. Let's be metal about this. It was like, I'm not going to start describing Manowar and Avantasia metal songs, but it was pretty epic. Running into the lightning full throttle with a screaming V8 underneath your foot.
That's cool.
Then there's California, crazy weird California.
And we came in. I don't remember where we came in California. Unimportant, really.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
But before we got into California, fatigue was setting in.
It was bad.
We were probably
This is where
40
shit gets
hours
real,
in?
folks.
and and like we were trying to avoid energy drinks because of the crash. So we're eating a lot of meat because protein is supposed to wake you up. And for like the first 30 hours, it worked. And I got desperate and I took a 5-hour energy drink. That turbocharged. That was awesome. It lasted 2 or 3 hours, and then it wore off. I drank 4 more in an hour.
Oh no.
So and
Do not recommend it.
if you're watching this, not listening to this, I'm a fat fuck, and 5-hour energy drinks in a 5-hour period, bad idea. If you got I got a strong heart apparently, but like my eyeballs were shaking by the time we got to California, and
See, like the idea of a cross-country endurance run sounds like a lot of fun until you're within the last 3 or 4 hours of your objective, and it's still more desert. It's still more just nothing, just nothingness and trees. And at that point, shit's getting pretty real, and the temptation to pull over and just like crash or grab a hotel and then we'll finish the run tomorrow morning, very strong.
Yeah.
And it was basically my motivation anyways was the 2 months of weekends we spent building the damn thing. I said, well, if we're going to build this to do the purpose, let's actually do the purpose and not sis out about this.
Yeah.
And when we finally got into LA proper and we were sort of blasting our way along all the highways, weaving in and out of traffic, that's when sort of the motivation started to kick in again. Like we're in kind of familiar territory. Guys, I played LA Rush. I know this place pretty well. I've played
Midnight Club Dub Edition.
Yeah, I've been there. I know this place, so we can get our way to where we need to go. And
Through the sewer grates and stuff.
never did see the LA River the whole time we were there. No. But we were approaching our final destination, the Portofino Inn. Like this is supposed to be an exciting moment, and
It was
all I can remember. And this might get a little bit.
Oh, I guess.
It's
Shop
going.
Ghost again.
It's going Dr. Dre.
Poltergeist.
At this moment, all I can remember, like we're almost achieving our goals. We're excited. We're getting there. All I can remember
it's
is
about 4 a.m. at this point in LA, and I mean we're not in LA, so I guess statute of limitations will run out by the time I
We're
get
fine.
there. But like we're rolling up to red lights. Go, left, right, go.
there was nobody else.
Well, here's the thing: is I just drank 5 of those 5-hour energy. I had to piss so damn bad.
Yeah,
so we just wanted to get
that's
to
what I was getting around to. Was the
Yeah.
biological imperative was taking action.
was to finish this. So we're blowing through red lights, and we make the last left into Portofino, and like it is big money there. It's like multi-million-dollar condos, big yachts, and everything.
The parking lot before the Portofino, it's like Murcielago 720S, P1, like a bunch of luxury cars just sitting there, and we're running by in our $1,300 hoopty. Yeah, and we were like, I don't condone bad driving on surface streets, but nature was calling. We were probably doing about 60 miles an hour on these tiny little narrow roads.
And it's 3 a.m. There's no one around.
Yeah, there's no one around. We were being sort of responsible about it, and we roll up to we roll through the front gate, roll up right to the front door, and there's no celebration. It was like, good job, we made it. Let's go pee. And then that's what you can expect is like the realization of what you have accomplished doesn't set in until like a day later. And we really didn't start to process it until this was Wednesday bright and early Thursday morning.
Yeah.
That we arrived, and it didn't really start to sink in what we had gotten away with until like Friday evening. Which we'll get to in a bit, because if you guys don't mind, and if we have time, I want to talk a little bit about the California car culture and then Denver drift scene, which is insane. Shout out to Jake Caldwell, Kelsey McCartney.
Spare Parts Speed Shop.
Brad, what's his name?
Not
Brandon.
Brad. Bart?
No, not Bart. Brandon.
Oh, Brandon
Motorcycle
Nelson.
Brandon. Yeah, Brandon Nelson. Sorry, I forgot your name, bud. You were really cool. I liked your jokes. So we when you do something like this and you take as long as we did, the next day is a total write-off.
Oh, God, yeah.
We got in, it was like
6:30 in the morning is when we went to bed finally.
When we finally laid down at 6:30 in the morning, and it was about 10 a.m. here. Okay. So called our folks, let everybody know that we got in safe, and then for the next 15 hours, we were dead to the world. We took a break for about 3 hours, or for about an hour, to go and get the most mediocre cheeseburger I've ever had.
Terrible. It was like they put Thousand Islands ranch dressing that was a month old on it.
Ew. Wait, where'd you guys go? White Castle?
No, it was some independent little joint. The burgers are massive. Like, they look great from walking by on the street.
I think it's Burger Now or something like that.
Burgers Now,
Okay.
But they put this weird fucking... It's like a pink sauce on it, and
it's like Thousand Islands dressing mixed with ranch with onions and a bit of tomatoes in there.
Weird, okay.
The first bite tasted all right, and then you've got like this much more to go.
You're like, oh no, this is the second endurance race right here.
And yeah, the burger sucked, and then the beers were awesome, and then we slept for like another 7 hours.
The next day, we mentioned Airsoft earlier. The biggest Airsoft store in North America is in LA. It's called E-Vike. So we stopped in there, and I got some goodies. And we had intended to do this big tour of LA, and our first stop we were going to do was
Toretto's house.
Yeah,
from Fast and
Toretto's
Furious.
house. Yeah,
Right.
Park the car in front and take a picture and all that. No, we're too tired.
We were too tired. We had booked a reservation for the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA.
You have to book a reservation to go?
For what we did, yes.
Okay.
You can just walk in, and that's fine.
Pay your ticket and go.
But there's what they call the vault tour, and it's like 100,000 square foot parking garage underneath the museum, and that's where they keep the actual really valuable stuff. And private collections and things like that. There's no photography allowed, so I can't even show you what's in there and the stuff that we gave you guys, but we can tell you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What you got?
So the museum. Let's start with the museum itself, which the stuff we do have quickly. Yeah. If you're into pop culture, which I'm sure we all are, it's the place to be. You can see the cars from Mad Max, Batmobiles, the speeder from Star Wars, a bunch of really cool stuff from all of the properties we enjoyed as kids are there.
Yeah, Herbie, RoboCop.
Yeah. And then there's like some important race cars, and like Shelby Cobra 427 serial number 0001 is there.
Oh, no way.
The first 427 Cobra ever is there.
That's cool.
And there's all sorts of really cool stuff, which pictures. I don't know how you guys do your editing. I don't care. But the Vault Tour, it's a guided tour. You can take them in 30-minute, 1 hour, or 2 hour durations. Okay. We figure how often we're in LA, we'll take the 2 hour. And you get a text on your phone that you got to be here at such a time, and we were there, and our our guide took us along. We were a small group. There was only about
6 or 7 of us.
no, it was about 12 of us, of which there was one American. Everybody else was from the Commonwealth. There was 2 Canadians, Scots, Irishmen, and some Aussies.
Yeah.
And then like one American dude. And well, you tell them about our host because you've got more of a rapport with him now than I did then.
So the guy that gave us a tour, his name is Shell Reinish. Shell. His father, apparently, this
is the story he tells.
His father named him after his company, Shell Petroleum. So he's And so he's like, my name's Shell. My father named me after his company. I don't need to work. I do this for fun. That's how he introduces himself. And he's a cool guy and like
very down to earth for a multimillionaire.
But he grew up around the racing scene in the 60s and 70s. So he knew Dan Gurney. He knew Carroll Shelby and
Sterling Moss.
That's cool.
And like,
so he was just a kid growing up around this. Like he told us a story. He like leaned against this one race car that ran at Watkins Glen, New York in the 70s. Like, Carroll Shelby gave me I was at this event and I got a hot dog and I asked someone to pass me the ketchup from the cart and it was Carroll Shelby. That's how he grew up, was in that sort of shit. So he had all these amazing stories, personal stories, not just like reading off the Wikipedia about the car, about all these cars. And so he took us around and showed us, and they've got like the Rita Hayworth Ghia Cadillac, which
one of 2, now one of 1.
Yeah, there's only one of them left. They got one of the Tucker torpedoes. They've got
the first Hot Rod magazine cover car.
You got Christine from the Christine movie, the Herbie from Herbie Fully Loaded.
Little yellow bus from Little Miss Sunshine, if you like that movie.
They've got the T-Bird from Thelma and Louise, the one that didn't go over the cliff.
But it's
all kinds of culturally and historically significant cars there.
EB-110. They had one of those there.
Yeah.
And then also
and it
they
was
had
the EB-110 Super Sport with all like the trypophobia perforated holes in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, and actually, here's an interesting note. They had a McLaren 720S Carbon, a McLaren P1, and a Senna, all in a row. And those were the cheap cars in
No
the
way.
vault.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a car called the Round Door Rolls. It's a 1929 Rolls-Royce Silverclad with one-off custom bodywork built for the Duchess of York, I think.
Cambridge,
Anyway,
I don't know.
I can't recall.
British.
One of 1. They found this car in a junkyard in New Jersey and did a full restoration
Wait,
on
what?
it.
Just like
They brought it
Somehow-
over during the Blitz to save it from the Germans, and somehow through the annals of time, it ended up in this junkyard in New Jersey as their advertisement on the front of the building.
Yeah, like it was sitting on top of
A shipping container
a
or
shipping
something.
container or something with like Jersey junkyard or whatever the fuck it was called emblazoned on top of it. And like I think the door was missing at that point. I don't know. There's a whole story to it.
Yeah, and now it's been restored and it's valued somewhere between 25 and 35 mil.
what?
And
That's nuts.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's why I say the Senna too is one of the cheap cars there.
Yeah, because they had a couple of the first run of Shelby Cobras that Carroll did in the 60s, like 66.
Yeah,
right
back when
around
they
the
were
Le Mans
AC
time period.
Cobras.
Okay.
They had a couple of those in there. They had Scaglietti Corvette, which has a great story behind it. It's like a Scaglietti body on it. Coach builder, the guy that built Ferraris, with a 59, 60 Corvette underneath it. Carroll Shelby and a couple of... Long story short, he sent these cars to Italy to get them built. And then Enzo, whose office is right across the street, walks over and sees these 6 cars. Like, what the fuck is these?
Yeah.
I'm building these for some Americans. What Americans? Carroll Shelby, if you ever want to work with me again, you'll get these cars out of my sight. So that night, Scaglietti's on the phone. He's calling up Carroll Shelby and said, you need to come here and get these cars tomorrow. I can't, this never happened. I never did business with you. Get them gone. So these cars were never finished. And there's one in the vault there. There's no mirrors on it. There's no glass in it. There's no interior in it. There's still like scuff marks from where he ran like a sheet metal rasp over it to kind of massage a bodywork. So it's kind of a time capsule. It's kind of neat to see. Sad that it wasn't finished, but that one is an unrestored state. And that was probably my favorite one in the bunch.
And Shell is so comfortable amongst all these cars and has so much of a baller with this that this one of 6 cars remaining, and I think it's the only one in a public collection now. He just leaning against it like it's no big deal. Got his Mercedes keys hanging out of his pocket. Not a care in the world.
Like after the tour, we're shooting the shit with this guy. And this guy's been done all this amazing shit in his youth. And we told him what we had just done, where we come from. And he looks at both of us like, you two kids did the Cannonball run. We're like, yes, sir, we did. He reaches in his pocket and gives me his card. He goes, you ever want to do this again? You give me a call. I'll fly out and I'll help you with everything.
Pay for half of everything, he says.
Yeah.
That is freaking
It's
nuts.
a cool deal, but the poor guy's like, back then he was 76.
Yeah.
So when we're ready to do this again in, say, 2 years,
If we do it again.
if we do it again,
Yeah.
my concern is how much can not to disparage older folks, but how much weight is he going to be able to pull in the driving department if he's having a naps?
Well, like you don't want
It's 3
to.
o'clock, I gotta get my afternoon nap, and I'm not any good to anybody after that. Like,
We love you, Shell.
yeah,
if
you're
watching
good.
this.
You're a cool dude. I hope.
That is nuts.
Shell, you better be watching this. What the fuck?
Yeah, we need some groundswell here, son.
Yeah.
Let's get this out.
Figure out the
Have some
internet.
coffee with us. We'll talk.
He had what was it called? The Eclectic Mind. He had a call-in show
Okay.
that was like, I think it was a streaming show. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Very, very knowledgeable dude.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's not on YouTube anymore.
No?
No, I went looking for it the other day. But yeah, cool guy, and yeah, LA was cool. Oh, and quick note about LA. We left the Peterson, and the next
I
thing
know
we
where
wanted
this
to do, rant time. We went from the Peterson, which is like downtown LA, and we get across the LA hills to East LA, where this cruise night we wanted to go to was. It was 5 o'clock on a Friday in Los Angeles.
Okay.
We had a 30-kilometer stretch to cover.
The town was Burbank, by the way.
Oh, to Burbank, yeah. We traversed that faster than it takes you to get from Gloucester to Canada here in Ottawa. And there's probably 15 times more cars in LA than there is here. So the only thing I can attribute that to is people in this city are fucking dumb.
Way to endear ourselves to the public and get this podcast off the ground.
I'm sorry. But no, it was again, rant time. I've driven in rush hour in New York City. I've driven rush hour in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tucson, Arizona, fucking LA. It's worse here. It's worse here than Montreal, I find.
It really is. When I was in Germany and Berlin and Amsterdam, driving there was like a breeze. You're doing 180 on the highway.
Yeah.
And people are moving well before you even need to touch the brakes, and they see you flying behind them and they're already out of your, like, it's fantastic. And then you come here and somebody's doing 60 in the left lane. Like,
Yeah.
fuck off the highway.
Yeah.
I think it's more of just like an Ottawa thing. Because when we did the road trip over to the Maritimes, people on the highway would actually move
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of your way. Like you're doing like 130 or whatever because the speed limit's 120.
Yeah.
And people would actually turn their signal on and move, let you pass, and they stay in the lane. They don't just cut right
What a
back
revolutionary concept.
behind you. Right? You move
don't-
over, let people
I don't know
pass.
what it, this,
Crazy.
there seems to be a sense of entitlement in the
Yeah.
Ottawa area.
I think so.
And I have some theories, but they're not politically correct. So I'm not going to share them on this public podcast.
We'll talk after.
But
Now, the California car culture is really cool.
Yeah.
So we went to this
back
cruise.
on topic.
Yeah, we went to this cruise night. They call it Valley Cruise Night. It's at a old ice cream stand called Foster's Freeze. It's been open since '46. Same family. Really cool joint.
Yeah.
One of the first places to do chili fries, if that matters
Oh,
to you
okay.
at all.
All right.
So I'm there. Try the chili fries. Try the double burger. Really good. Had a shake. But what was really neat was all of the car, with the exception of our car and a couple others, the majority of the stuff there is representative of the hot rodding custom car culture pre-1953. So
Oh,
like
wow.
they built the way they were back then with the components from back then.
Okay.
So
like
you see it
period correct, like
Exactly.
To the T. That's cool.
It's
That's
like
really
and-
good.
Radwood for the 1940s. So like, I don't know, Wingadinglewood or something is.
Boomerwood, but
like pre-Boomerwood.
Goldenwood.
Goldenwood.
That sounds good. I like that.
That's my porn name.
But
All right.
choo choo off the rails.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, like really cool people. They known we were
Josh is
coming.
losing his shit.
So like, do you need a moment?
I'm good. Continue.
Deep breaths. There you go. Get that right in the mic. Yeah, they were just we had sort of let them know a couple weeks before we arrived that we were coming, and we've got cars that I go nuts for. So your early Fords and your custom Cadillacs and Mercurys, and we got a crowd of people around our hoopty ass Caprice with a friggin' CB antenna on the back. It was just such an open and welcoming car culture
Yeah,
there.
they're really cool down there.
Really cool people, very friendly. if you find yourself in California, LA, or Burbank on a Friday night, it's worth your time to go and check it out. Great food, good people, cool cars. Cool. After that, we did. You guys know Big Boy Burger? It's from Austin Powers. There, little burger guy holding a burger above his head.
Yeah. Space, yeah.
Okay.
The original one is about 3 or 4 blocks away from our cruise night, and they have a cruise night there on Friday nights as well. Oh, now, what's really cool about this Big Boy is that sounded bad.
We're on a roll.
What's really cool about this particular show is all the builders in California, when they're getting the car ready for SEMA, they'll bring it there first.
Oh,
so like you get to, if you're there on the right night, you see shit before anyone else does.
Yeah. Burbank's not far from Torrance, and most of the shops, like SoCal Speed Shop and all the other tuning and hot rod shops, are kind of in the Torrance area.
Like Busy Moto has a shop there, I believe.
Okay.
Oh wow.
That's quickly.
Yeah.
And they bring all this stuff to Big Boy. So we went there hoping to see stuff for SEMA that was going to be in a few weeks, and didn't see anything but a bunch. I think it was an Integra, 3 Grand Nationals, and a 72 Chevelle. So it was a little disappointing, but still a cool place to go and check out, because they like bring the food right to your door when you sit at the kiosks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's an old school not roller skate anymore, but it's an old school sort of burger joint.
Yeah.
And as much as I would like to regale you with tales of the LA nightlife, we were in bed by 9:30 because we had to be going the next morning.
That being said,
oh yes,
on the drive back to the hotel, I did get to live out the fantasy that every white boy has with a 1989 Caprice, is to roll through LA, listening to Dr. Dre in a box Chevy,
Right.
and feeling cool with LA rolling by.
Had Dre 2001 brought up on the MP3 player, just listen to the whole album,
Still
cruising
DRE.
back. Still DRE, rolling back to the hotel. And then we can fast forward. We left for Denver the next morning, super early. Our cannonballing time was not over. We had basically 13, 14 hours to be in Denver from Los Angeles to meet up with a buddy of ours who we were going to stay the night with. Yeah. The only things notable on the corridor between Los Angeles and Denver is Las Vegas, a place called Prim, Nevada, where the Bonnie and Clyde death car is.
Okay.
Yeah. I got photos if you want to see it later.
Yeah.
And then Utah, the national park there.
Utah
Insane,
was gorgeous.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Colorado was dope. Our friend Jake, again, shout out to Jake Caldwell. It's #shred sled. Do you guys watch Hoonigan at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you remember, but there was a 51 Chevy sitting on top of a Lexus LS400 chassis that was a drift car.
51 Chevy on. I'll look this up.
Yeah, it's called the Shred Sled. That's what they named it the day of, anyways.
Yeah, that's my buddy Jake's drift car. He's been drifting a few years, and he had a Cressida with a naturally aspirated 2J in it. And then
So
when
that's the dude who put us up in Colorado.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's actually that idea he had for that car. He kind of stole from our buddy Matt.
I wouldn't say he stole.
That's
it was
what he said.
inspired.
He said that in the interview that he was
Okay, sure
inspired
enough.
by the Canadians. We know who you are, Matt. Jeep guy.
Jeep guy.
But
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah.
Everybody knows a Jeep guy.
that's usually named Kyle. So we met Jake, rewind it 3 years, went to the zip tie drags in Tucson. We stop at this little tchotchke shop on the side of the road in New Mexico in my buddy Matt's 59 Dodge. It had a Corvette drivetrain, Corvette suspension in it. He built it in 30 days. We see a Datsun pickup rolling that's slammed to the ground. I take a picture of it. They whip a U-turn, they pull up, and it's my future buddies, Bart and Jake, in their Datsun. And Bart looks out the window and says, "I think we're going to the same place." And sure enough, they were. And we convoyed down to Tucson for the drag racing thing. And Jake, the whole time, was watching this 59 Dodge and getting ideas in his head. And before he'd come, he's going to chew me out for screwing up the timeline, but he had a 51 Chev 4-door sedan with no title. It was an airport shuttle car, so it never left the Denver airport. Okay. And minutes. Okay, Cole's notes. Got this idea, bought a Lexus to drift it, cut the body off it, and said, "Hey, the wheelbases are kind of this similar." Welded the 51 Chevy body on, put a cage in it, and is now a legend on Hoonigan.
You learn all this on the Hoonigan video, but don't watch them, watch us.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, we blasted through Nevada, Utah, got into Denver about 11:30 at night, and God bless Jake, he stayed up late for us. He had just worked a 12-hour shift, stayed up late for us so he'd have somebody to greet us and we gratefully crashed on his couch in his spare bedroom, and next morning his lovely girlfriend made us breakfast, and we set out on our day of hooliganery. We started off with the car show. I think the only thing noticeable or mentionable about that car show is they had a 31 Pierce arrow there.
And then like 3 demons.
Yeah,
I've never
3
seen a demon before, a Dutch demon.
Oh, that's cool.
Bunch of demons. And so after that, we headed up to a place called Red Rock. It's a concert venue, and like the Beatles are the first people to play there. And it's
Oh, that's what sounds familiar. Okay.
yeah, it's been blown out of the side of a Red Rock mountain. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And like we were stupid.
It's a workout to get up there.
Yeah, we went up. There's 2 sides. There's an elevator side and a stair side, and they're opposite sides of this small mountain. We went up the stairs side. And I mean, we're all valley dwellers, right? We all live in the Ottawa Valley. This is like a couple thousand feet above sea level, so I'm huffing and puffing getting up there. And then
Lookout. We did Lookout.
Okay, Lookout Mountain. It's the closest analog I found in North America to Mount Ackina from Initial D.
Cool. Okay.
It's like switchbacks, hairpin turns,
Fuck up and you
consecutively,
die.
screw up and you die sort of road. There's guardrails there, but we had 3,800 pounds of Chevy with a V8 in it. That's not going to stop us.
Right.
This is like canyon carving road.
Except there's no canyon. It's just like
You're on the top of a mountain.
there is open space around you. You
That's
literally
wicked.
drive to the top
It's almost
of the
like a
mountain
ridge.
and down the other side. I think culturally, the most interesting thing about Lookout Mountain is Buffalo Bill is buried at the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't stop, which is a shame because Western guy. Anyways, so we drove up the mountain. We had a 4-car convoy. It was Jake in the lead with his 51 Chevy, his girlfriend behind him in a G35, us in third place with the Caprice, and then behind us was Brandon in his Civic Si.
Oh, great.
No, I've never had a Civic Si. That's a lie.
Sorry. There's more than one Brandon.
You don't look like a Brandon Nelson to me, though.
Brandon Nelson.
Love you, Brandon.
And Brandon's a pretty hardcore dude. Like, in terms of the canyon mountain racing scene there on motorcycles, he runs that shit with a 600cc bike.
Is that? Oh,
Okay.
He's going to trip you if you get that wrong.
I don't care. He's in Colorado. What's he going to do?
Drive up here and
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, please come visit. We miss you guys. But yeah, he like runs down leader bikes on the canyons. Like the guy's a pretty good rider.
okay.
Wild man.
Wild man, true wild man. So we drive up this mountain. It's a nice, scenic, classic car driver, all up in our cool stuff. Going down the mountain, Jake gets a little bit ornery, and I tried my best to get it on camera, but he was 2 cars ahead of us. And on those it's quite the sight to see, where you would expect to see like an A86 or an S13 sliding down this mountain, but this big, heavy 51 Chevy going around hairpins like it's a Japanese sports car, which it kind of is.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got down from that, and we made it through. I think they're almost testing our resolve there, because after that he introduced us to the rest of the Yankee Zoku drift team.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool guys.
Real cool dudes. There's about 3 or 4 mics on the team, and one of the mics has this tiny little 2 lift shop in a strip mall that he owns, and he just works nonstop 7 days a week. The guy's a real workaholic. And
Sweet guy, though.
very sweet dude, and loved our car, and offered to take a paying customer off the hoist to put our hoopty ass Caprice up there to weld the exhaust up for us. We should have taken him up on it because we ended up having to fix that exhaust again. But anyways, in that same, you guys play D&D at all?
No.
No?
I want to get into it though.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've been playing for a long time, if you couldn't tell.
Oh, that's okay. I was wondering what that was. Okay.
Oh no! This is the Coven restaurant here in town. This
Oh,
is a heavy
okay.
metal.
Heavy metal restaurant.
Heavy
yeah.
metal restaurant.
Fuck
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No,
It's-
that's Brandon's shit. That's what this
Dude.
Okay, I'm surprised you haven't heard of the Coven.
Free pitch for the Coven.
All right, free pitch for the Coven. Mehmet, hit me up. I want a Cthulhu for free.
We will take your sponsorship. We'll talk about your shit. I mean,
So
I'll eat food. I'm down.
it's on
Catering.
It's on Murray Street. It's a burger joint / craft beer, and all they play over the TV is like YouTube metal videos, and it's wicked. It's one of my favorite places to eat in the city. They have this one burger called the Chaotic Cthulhu. It is 2 pre-cooked weight half-pound patties stuffed with pulled pork and cheese curds,
Jesus.
covered with cheese.
In the patty?
In the
Inside
patty.
the patty. It's just cheese curds.
Jeez.
Cheese curds, sorry.
In the patty. And then cheese and bacon between each. And you
And
like
then-
buns?
Yeah.
Fuck your buns. Grilled cheese sandwiches instead.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
This, you
It's-
want to go
it's-
after this?
I'd be down. I'd
Yeah,
be down. We'd
It's
take you
worth
guys there. I love that place.
let's see what happens.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
It's like 8,000 calories.
so.
Anyways.
In the same vein, they're in the same in fact, in the same strip mall as the garage, there's a place called Owlbear. Owlbear is a monster from D&D. The walls are covered with
Player handbook
pages from D&D, and it is no shit the best barbecue I've ever had.
Okay.
We like our barbecue.
Yeah, we do. They had this pulled pork and this brisket that would fall apart in your hands. It was so soft.
Really? Okay.
It's really good.
If you're in Denver, hit up Owlbear.
And crazy
run by
enough-
Canadians too.
Yeah, crazy enough.
Guys from Guelph.
The chef is from Guelph.
What?
Yeah.
That's so random.
Like he heard our accent.
Well, see, like he was out having a dart, and I was talking to Jake. He's like, "You don't sound like you're from here." I'm like, I'm not. Neither do you. He's like, "You from Ontario?" I'm like, "Yeah, Ottawa." You? Guelph? No shit. Welcome to Denver. Thanks, man. It was awesome.
He's like, fucking A, bud.
Yeah, fuck yeah, bud.
That's crazy.
And then we walked around Denver for a bit. Nothing really notable. Real cool place. The place where we were hanging out was the street that's been gentrified. Lots of art.
A lot of millennials opening business up in the formerly industrial areas of Denver that are falling apart. So it's really cool. It's got a very artistic-y vibe to it.
Very bohemian sort of feel, but like without the pretension. It's all blue-collar dudes making stuff happen. It's a real cool place to be. And then after that, it was Rectoberfest.
Yeah, so Yankee Zoku, the drift team that were kind of hosting us, host a series of events over the year. The last event of the year, which is for all the marbles, is in October, and it's called Rectoberfest, because there's at least one pretty gnarly wreck every year, because everybody's just going full send because it's the last event of the year.
Right.
And that happened when we were there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get on camera, but there was a guy who just got an S14, bought it like I think the week before to run at this event. SR20 car, just actually a pretty damn clean car. And his first corner, his first handbrake pull, he goes backwards into the wall, takes the rear end off, spins around, and smashes the front end.
No, he went up. It was a bank, like it's an oval that they have it at with a zigzag or what's it called? Figure 8 in the middle. Not me. And the banking levels off at the top.
Oh, did he just go full?
So he put the back
tire
tires
up
up onto the banking, and it kicked the car around and put the nose into the wall.
Oh no.
That was
First corner, first handbrake pull,
What
done.
was he driving?
S14,
Yeah.
SR20 car.
240 SX.
Yeah. And
Rip.
so we sat in, or Jake is...
Never hit a wall selling 10 grand.
What?
Have you seen those 240 ads?
Oh yeah.
I know what I have.
Never hit a wall.
Never wall tapped.
Who was it? Braden posted a meme, and it was like, my favorite aesthetic of an S chassis is wrapped around a tree.
I'll find
Yep.
that. I'll pull that.
That's pretty good.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. We're just having a chat, man. It's good.
Yeah.
And like some really, like I've seen some pretty good drifters here in Ottawa, but like these dudes, like in some of the videos I have, there's a guy in an S13 that's got 700 horsepower LS in it, and it accelerates faster sideways than any of my shit does in a straight line. And door to door, good drifting. Jake ended up judging and emceeing the event, and like I got a good little story about this. So he comes out, he's got a pair of helmets, and he looks at Josh. He's like, "All right, let's go for an exhibition run." And Josh hops in the 51, and he had been saying all day that he can't go too crazy, right? He's only got one set of tires. He's got to get home with his tires. He's not going to go nuts. And he went out with Josh, and he did
a minute and a half. Yeah.
a minute and a half maybe. And
This is the shred sled, right?
Yes,
Okay,
the
that's
shred
in
sled.
51 Chevy. Yeah.
Okay.
And he comes back in, and his girlfriend there, Kelsey, is like, Josh and Jake get back up, and she goes, "Remember, you got to get home on those tires, so don't go too
You're going to
crazy."
get him in trouble telling this story.
Oh, I'm sure I am, but what's he going to do about it? He's in Colorado.
It's okay, tell the story. I want to hear this.
So more people do exhibition runs. There's a really badass E46 that's running LS there, and a
that thing was
SN95 Mustang, also LS, and they're going door to door and real good racing. And I see him sort of stick his head out between the grandstands, and Jake disappears. All right, whatever. I should preface this that Kelsey had to go home. She worked early the next morning. And Jake comes back. He's got a pair of helmets in his hand. He's like, "Let's go."
Yeah.
So we get in there, and to Jake's credit, his better instincts kicked in for a bit, and he said, "I shouldn't do that. Kelsey's right. I've only got one set of tires. I need to get home with these." So we pull up into the back half of the track, and we're waiting for the E46 to finish up. And while we're there, the official photographer for Yankee Zoku has showed up, and he's got his Steadicam rig. And he runs up to Jake, and he goes, "Are you going to fucking send it?"
Oh, no.
And Jake's like, "I'm going to fucking send it." I'm like, "Send it, bud." And he runs out into the field, and sure enough, he's doing donuts around this dude. He's one of the things he said, I'm not going to run the bank. I don't have the power to run the bank. He's up on the bank. He's going down on the apron. He went hog wild. And I'm surprised he didn't blow his tires because he drove home on cords.
Yeah, they were
His
sparking
tires
all the
were
way home.
Sparking on the way home.
He had to get Brandon to follow him at like Audi distance in his Honda, so that way no one would see the sparks coming off of his tires.
Yeah, and then
After that,
to be honest, coming home, it was we left early the next morning. Thanked them for their hospitality and whatnot. Left them some premium Canadian beer, no street organic, good shit. That was in stereo. I like that.
Sponsor us.
Please, they
Local
could use
business.
it. Look at the setup they have. They need the money.
High five.
I'm basically a bearded Don Rickles at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah, hockey puck.
And then it was like flyover states: Iowa, Nebraska. Other one.
Can we describe Iowa and Nebraska in 5 seconds?
Yes, Iowa and Nebraska in 5 seconds. Go.
Corn, corn, corn. Jesus, Trump, corn, corn, corn. Michigan.
Beautiful sum up.
And again, but I can't complain. Beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Cheap hotels.
Cheap hotels, nice scenery if you like corn and Jesus and Trump. And then, to be honest, we didn't encounter any weather, no shit, until we crossed the border going into Sarnia.
Yeah, like we crossed it. Sarnia, and as soon as we got into the Canadian side, water came down. Rain came down.
I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with literary terms, but there's one called pathetic fallacy, and that the environment around you
reflects
your inner turmoil.
Okay.
It was like that. We're back in Canada. Rain is pouring down. We're not happy about it.
I want to go back to California.
And yeah, got home and that was sort of, it didn't really hit what we had done and the things we had seen until like 2 or 3 weeks later. And
I wanted to go back to California, but by the time we got home, California was on fire.
yeah,
Oh, no.
shortly after
Yeah.
we left, the wildfires started there. Not our
It was
fault.
probably Jake just fucking
Yeah,
sending it.
That's fucking send it, man.
Oh, I'm gonna send that.
Yeah, now I'm gonna send Larry and Tyser. I'm gonna send it. But yeah, so the last thing I'll talk about on the run before we just do whatever you guys want to do is, if you're gonna do it, please think about it. Prepare it properly. So like, make sure your car can do the distance. Make sure you can do that amount of driving, and be safe. That's the biggest thing we emphasize on this.
Yeah.
Is
And
this isn't a full throttle blast. This
we've
isn't
got-
a race. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
We've got almost 50 years in this craft, as it were, this legitimate motorsport. There's never been a serious injury or fatality. There's been one like little mess up in the 70s when Lotus Esprit bounced off a guardrail, and I think someone bruised an elbow or broke an arm, if that.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think there's a deer strike on one. But
So if you're gonna do it, don't fuck this up for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Actually, go
Seriously.
have a good time, but be smart and safe about it.
and you don't need to go full send.
No.
If you do this thing, it just we're all here. We all love our cars. Just drive them.
Yeah.
Drive them. If you get some bug strikes or some rock strikes, fucking detail, it'll buff out. Get out and drive them. It's
Have a good time.
They're
That's
not
what they're there
jewelry.
for. You can't take them with you when you're in the ground.
They're
so.
terrible investments.
They really are.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
enjoy them. They're going to depreciate anyway.
So yeah, put as many miles on them as you can, and go see Canada, go see America. Put as many
Yeah.
miles on the friggin' things as you can. Ruin them.
Exactly.
Don't save them for the next person.
For sure.
That's true.
Like when I went on the Maritimes trip, I really wanted to take my current car, but the transmission blew up.
Yeah.
And I was trying so hard. I remember like talking to Claire. I'm like, man, I really need to take this car because it was my last car last summer before I sell the car. If anyone wants to buy it, it's still in my driveway. You can take it.
What do you got?
It's a 2006 Mazda 6.
Yes, I have seen that car.
Yeah,
Okay,
So silver, it's lowered just a couple things here and there. I tried so hard. I packed the car. I was like, everything fits. It's ready to go, and it wouldn't move. I was like, So I ended up getting a Toyota Camry for the trip. A lot of fun.
Yep.
I had paddle shifters, so like we sent it here and there.
As
It was
you do.
great. Have you ever driven on the Cabot Trail before?
I
not.
want to. It's on
Okay.
it's my next one.
Yeah.
Farthest list.
Farthest east I've been is Chicoutimi. I haven't been as
Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In a few years for Run 91, I'd like to go as far as that. But
Yeah.
it's difficult getting a big amount of people.
Go
but-
from here to Halifax. That'd be dope.
Yeah. Well, we went and we got stopped by the hurricane.
Oh no.
So we didn't even
shit.
get to Halifax. We got to the Cabot Trail, did the run, whatever. And by the time we got to Halifax, we were like entering almost, and we're like, nope, there's like fucking army trucks coming in. It was really weird. There's all these trucks on the highway
Yeah.
going the opposite way, like glowing lights. Like, well, yeah, we gotta get out of here.
No
we
shit.
left, yeah. Anyways,
That's a
enough
great
about
story.
that.
Fuck.
Oh,
Thanks,
that's-
Obama.
I'm just looking at your T-shirt, Fraternity of Lunatics. Is that
Yes.
from the run?
That is commemorating the Cannonball run.
Okay.
Fraternity of Lunatics. You can get them at vinwiki.com.
Vinwiki.com.
Sponsor us, Ed.
Yeah,
Come on, Ed.
I've given you a whole lot of shit here to work with. Oh, he does like profanity. I've given you a whole lot of stuff here.
No, that's fine. Shit. Fuck, I don't know.
And no,
My mom will just get mad at us. It's fine. She didn't-
Sorry, Mom.
Quick story about this shirt. I bought this like 2 years ago.
No, you bought it about a year before we left.
Yeah, about a year before we left for the Cannonball run. I put a picture of it up on Instagram and said, "I love the shirt, Ed. I'm not wearing it until I finish my run." And he DMs me saying, "Good luck. Thanks for buying a shirt." And then, sure enough, a year later, I do the run. He said, "Hey, glad you got to wear your shirt."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He actually remembered to message Josh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tagged VinWiki, and I'm sure
okay.
he's on his phone. Oh, here I am again.
It would be sweet if we got to have them on the podcast telling their side of stories.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'd
man.
be
How
cool.
you guys,
yeah.
I'm sure they have some like, crazy stuff like what
Well,
you
and-
guys have done.
And then that's the VinWiki channel is full of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Like that's kind of where I got, and there's like little nuggets of wisdom in all these videos about this sort of thing, and that's where I got a lot of my idea of how to prep the car and how to do the run was from VinWiki and particularly Ed Bullion and Alex Roy, who was on there 2 or 3 times, and Arnie Toman, the current record holder, who I was going to go after his classic car record because he did it in a Bluesmobile for in like 34 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not touching that. No. I don't have the balls or the budget to go after that.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that really hampered us on actually being able to do the run quickly is fuel capacity. There's
Yeah.
only so much space in a stock tank. You'd have to start putting extra tanks, and we had
They usually do like
They run auxiliary fuel tanks
yeah.
on that. Yeah. Like,
And
'cause
we-
I think it's like a 52-gallon secondary tank in the record holder right now, or
Yeah.
27-gallon.
something
Yeah.
big.
And I just ran out of budget. I spent everything on exhaust and tires and all that.
Making the thing handle and sound good, but
Yeah, and there's a local speed shop that was gonna whip one up for me. I just didn't have the cash.
Yeah, it's fair.
Out by
who was that? You want to do a plug?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
You-
Better Motorsports out in Dunrobin.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sean, how's it going, bud?
Yeah.
Yeah, he built some cool shit.
His truck is gangster. The
Yeah.
big slant.
The Viper one?
No, that's Sean Yeti. I'm talking.
Oh.
It's Sean McCaw.
Sean McCamey.
McCamey, yeah.
McCaw, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what truck it is, but it's like rat rotted slant. It's like
Oh,
stretched
that's
out.
that white one. That's
Yeah.
a 31 Ford sedan, but it's so fucking low that it can look like it looks like a truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you can 31 Ford sedan?
Yeah, it's a 2-door sedan, and they spelled Tudor wrong. They spelled Tudor.
Yeah.
It's a 31 Ford 2-door.
But this actually, if you want to see that car, July 1st, in Canada Day, the Almont town of Almont has a car show right on the main drag,
Okay.
and he usually brings out a few of the cars from the fleet, and they're always impressive to see.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
we locked down the entire town for that show. So
Wow.
Is he also the guy who has an RX-3?
yes,
someone else?
he's
He's
putting.
building a tri-rotor, I think, RX-3. I'm not sure if it might be for a client, so I'm not.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
done business with him through my work.
Okay.
My boss had his truck service there, old 51 Chev. So I don't want to go too much into it because I think it might be a client's car.
Okay.
But it's rotary powered Miata suspension, I think, and I believe it's an RX-3.
Very cool.
And he's got some other cool shit in there as well.
Sweet. My
Yeah.
brother got me into the rotary thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a bit of a rotard. So that
You said it, not me.
The 20B is like that's up for a 26B, but that's like the Formula fucking crazy shit. But no, if that ever, I know it's not Formula One, but
Yeah, yeah.
the 787B.
Oh, I know the car.
If that ever came to like this side of the pond, or
Yeah.
not across the pond, we're like there's no ocean between us. If that ever came to Ottawa, or like I had the chance to go see it in person, I would do it in a heartbeat. That'd be so cool to see in person.
But one of the cars we saw at the Peterson was the Nissan R390, the one-off supercar they built to go GT
Yeah,
racing.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in there somewhere, and it's a pretty interesting vehicle to see. Like, I mean, we're big dudes. you're not necessarily small dudes, but you wouldn't fit in either. You need to be like Claire's size to fit in this car. I can't believe it. You got to be tiny to get in this thing.
I mean, the front fenders are no higher than your knee on that car.
It's a really, really neat car.
Okay.
And along the same line as the like 777 77B Mazda car. Like they were direct competitors with one another. And this is the one street version that was available.
Okay. That's really cool.
So anyway, I
I
like
could go all day about that.
I like to geek about. I mean, you guys saw my Vauxhall. I'm into weird shit, so I love anything that's a bit different, as well as the classic hot rod stuff. So, yeah,
that'd be cool. I want to see the Vauxhall on this year's Run 91 rally. That'd be cool.
When are you guys running it again?
End of July is what we're aiming for.
I might be able to make that. I've got a show mid-July, like 19th, 20th, 21st that I'm going to.
Okay. That's in the 25th, 26th, I think we're doing.
So it's just the following weekend. Sweet.
Yeah.
I should be able to make that. I'd love to.
We'll send you an invite, and
Yeah,
if it
fun.
works,
Yeah.
it works. That'll be cool.
Yeah. I'm in.
But yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Do you want to take it away?
where do you want me to take it?
I have no idea. We're sitting right here.
Take it home, Brandon. Take it home.
Thank you for joining us. This was actually really, really interesting and really fun to have you guys on.
I'm glad you guys sat there quietly for an hour while we just talked at your
No, it was
faces.
great. I love car stories, especially like the experienced car stories are really always so interesting to hear because like we don't really have any of those yet.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is like the cars, as beautiful and well engineered they are, they're just a foot in the door to the community, the world that's built around this enthusiasm.
Like we did this stupid thing with an old Caprice, and I mean, I know you on a personal basis from the work that we've done with photography, but like, how else would we be hanging out and becoming friends right now if we're not for these stupid things we do in car?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a shared fraternity of lunatics. There's a shared buy your T-shirt on VinWiki. Send us some royalties. There's a shared lunacy involved in this whole thing, and I don't think it's going away, but it's definitely changing as the times go on. And I'm kind of nervous to see how the car community and how the car culture changes.
The thing is, people are always going to want to screw around with their own rides, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be electric or gas powered. We're always going to have people tinkering. We're always going to have car people doing cool stuff with cars.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're going to run out of gas eventually, so we got to have people interested in this stuff. Otherwise, we're all going to be people just riding an automated cars. And where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
No fun.
You could do that Cannonball run, I guess, in an automated car. But you just
What's
what's
the point?
And that's it.
Might as well just
Yeah,
get on a train.
Nap the whole way.
Like it's there's no.
You must have taken an airplane.
There's no
like,
character
sometimes
to it.
Exactly. You gotta like suffer a little bit for those like crazy stories.
exactly.
There are some EV records that have been constantly in contention right now. There's 2 or 3 Model 3 Teslas
That have done the run across country and
Yeah.
actually.
Like 4 years and 36 days, or
39 hours or
that's
something like
pretty
that.
impressive.
But how would they charge?
They're basically sprinting from fast charge point to fast charge point, like absurdly
that's-
high speeds,
That's not easy.
and then boiling the battery pretty much by the time they get there. Fast charging for half an hour, then sprinting to the next one.
And it's
And
probably
so, like-
killing their battery
Yeah,
warranty.
well, that's there's a VinWiki video about it. The guy had a Model 3. They lowered and put lower profile tires on, did everything he could to make it as slippery as possible. And yeah, he was just sprint from one charge station to the next. And I don't know if he destroyed his battery, but I'm sure he probably avoided the warranty. I don't know.
But yeah,
Elon should just give him a brand new Tesla.
yeah, come on, Elon.
Well, I know Tesla's warranty on their battery and powertrain is like 8 years, unlimited mileage.
I mean, even if you're breaking the law, it's still mileage, right?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Regardless, it works.
All right. I could do this all day, but we all have families and friends to get home to. So
That's true. And we have to listen to Ramsey's horrible joke.
yes, of course.
As you know,
Oh,
Ramsey's
God.
not here. He's gone to the other side
Oh,
of the world.
he's mitosis into
He's mitosis.
these 2 fat white guys.
I'm glad you remember the term because osmosis is coming together, mitosis is splitting.
Osmosis is absorption
Yeah.
through proximity.
See, I don't know these things.
I got to sound
My
smart
tosis,
today.
your tosis, we all have tosis.
As
Toast?
long as it's not halitosis.
What about cheese whiz and tosis?
Oh, okay. Cheese whiz and tosis. I'm about
Thank you,
that.
Squirrely Dan.
Glad he appreciates
Do
me.
you just want me to play Ramsey's joke over my phone? Like, how
Yeah, I got, so Ramsey sent us a video at the Toronto airport while he was waiting to board. Him and Anthony were there, and obviously Ramsey's like, nope, you guys gotta play my stupid joke. I'm like, okay, well,
Fair enough.
Brandon has it loaded up, so let's listen in, see what he has to say.
What is up, the flat tire?
You're doing terrific.
Shitty joke, Ramsey. I don't get it.
What is up, the Flat Tire? It's Ramsey here. We're in Toronto International Airport with Anthony. I've been awake for almost 24 hours, but I still have a joke for you because you can't run away from the jokes. Brandon, this one's for you.
Knock, knock.
Who's there? No, I had the joke.
Oh, right.
Oh. All right. What's the difference between BMW drivers and a porcupine?
What?
Porcupines carry their pricks on the outside. Oh man.
I'll
see
give
you
him that
guys
one. That was
in
good.
3 weeks. 3 weeks? 3 weeks. Enjoy the podcast. I love you.
Aww.
Oh,
What a kind man.
that was a good joke.
That was a good joke.
I'll give you
My
that one,
jokes can't
Ramsey.
top that one. That was pretty good.
I'll give you that one. Thank you guys for joining us on the Flat Tire. Thank you to Jared and Josh for being here with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Mike,
Good time.
not Mike. What's his name? Mark, my neighbor who enjoys our podcast. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll hear some more stories in the future
Yeah.
from you guys.
Yeah, if you'd
I'd
like to have us, we'd
back.
love to
Yeah.
come
Oh, for
back.
sure.
And-
I know you have a few cool builds and rides. We could do some build to drive on, and we'll
Hell yeah.
we'll take
Sure.
them there. Summer is
Yeah.
It's getting
short
close.
months, but
We're getting
Yeah.
close.
We're getting there.
it'll be good.
Almost time to get rid of all this white stuff and bring out the cool toys.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm excited.
Thank you to Choice Automotive for having us, and thank you to Brown Bag Coffee Roasters for supplying us with amazing coffee. Don't forget to use our coupon code TFTPOD on the website at checkout for 10%?
10%. Yeah.
Plus the 10% off your subscription service. So use it. It's good coffee, and it comes to your door.
To your door.
To your door.
To your door.
That was great. That was great.
Fucking fast.